Hey golf people, on today's episode I've got two amazing devices to take a look at, the Garmin R10 and the Skytrak. So if you've been thinking about putting together a home simulator setup, this is a comparison you'll want to watch. We're going to take a look at the features and benefits of each. We're going to take a look at the accuracy, the setup, all that good stuff. And at the end of this video, I'm going to let you know my opinion on which one I would go with if I was in your shoes. Let's do it. Now I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, playbetter.com, who allowed me to test both of these devices. These guys are the best in the biz when it comes to golf technology. For all your golf technology needs, playbetter.com is the place to purchase it. I will put links to both of these devices down below. Now, the first thing I want to cover is setup with these two devices. Now, the Garmin R10 is both an indoor and an outdoor device. You'll need to set this Garmin up about 6 to 8 feet away from you behind the ball, and you'll need another 8 feet in front of you. So a total of a minimum distance of 14 feet is necessary. And of course, you're gonna need quite a bit of space to swing the club. I think 10 feet above you is probably a safe distance for the majority of folks out there. With the Skytrak, you don't need quite as much room. And in fact, you can cut that down to about 10 feet total in terms of being able to swing the club. So if space is really an issue with you and your setup, whether you're putting it in your garage, your house, the Skytrak is going to give you a little bit more flexibility in those tighter spaces. Now, one place the Garmin does shine is that with the Skytrak, it literally points a laser down, and that's where you place your ball. It's best to actually place the logo of the ball facing the device. Now, if you're a right-handed hitter, obviously you'll have the device to the right of the ball. And if you're a left-handed hitter, you would place the device to the left of the ball. With the Garmin, you don't need to shuffle the device back and forth if you have multiple people playing this who are right or left-handed, because this just sits directly behind, that's 6 feet behind the ball. And no matter if you're right-handed or left-handed, you will not be needing to move the device in order to get that shot data. Now, in terms of setup, both of these devices are super easy to set up. I think I would just slightly give the edge to the Garmin R10, because really all that's necessary for the R10 is that you download the Garmin Golf app, you connect to it via Bluetooth, and you can be up and running in just a couple of minutes. With the Skytrak, it's still very easy, but there's a couple more steps involved. You really need to connect to your home Wi-Fi in order to get the most out of this device. I had the Garmin set up and ready to go in just a few minutes, and the Skytrak took me about 10 to 15 minutes worth of setup. Now that I know how to do it, it could be a lot quicker than that, but that's what it took me in real time. So the slight edge in terms of ease of use and setup would go to the R10, but just by a hair. Now, a lot of people are interested in doing some sort of screen projection. And while it's possible on the Garmin R10, it's not quite as easy as the Skytrak. And I would also say it's just not as great of an experience. And it's due to the fact that you're really limited to a portrait or vertical view with the Garmin R10, whereas the Skytrak by default is a horizontal view, which is much better for screens. You can use the Garmin R10 to mirror your device. You're going to be limited to your mobile device, whether that's a phone or a tablet, but you can then mirror that to maybe an HD TV or possibly even a projector if you were to hook up like an Apple TV or a Roku or some sort of device like that. With the Skytrak, it's much easier. In fact, you can hook this into your computer that can go right into a projection system, and that's how a lot of people use the Skytrak. The type of technology that these two devices uses is also different, and that has a lot to do with the data and the accuracy that comes back as well. The Garmin R10 is a Doppler radar device. So what it's doing is it's building a profile of that shot shape based on the waves projecting off the ball and bouncing back onto the device. The Skytrak, on the other hand, is an optical-based system, so it's taking thousands of pictures per second in order to build that shot shape and give you accurate data on what the ball did after leaving the club. And it does that very, very quickly. It only needs just to see the ball for just a little bit in order to build that picture of the shot. Now, both of these are proven technology, both Doppler and optical technology. So it's not necessarily that one is better or worse, but we'll get into accuracy here in just a little bit. Now, in terms of indoor and outdoor usage, the Garmin R10, I think, is probably a little better suited to being more mobile and getting this thing outdoors. The Skytrak is really primarily an indoor setup unit. While you can take it out on the course, it doesn't have any waterproof or protection from the elements, whereas the Garmin R10 is really set up to be able to go indoor and outdoor. Now you might wonder, how quickly do you actually get shot information and feedback back from these devices? If you're like me and you've been using the internet since the 90s, the early days, you'll know that the speed that we can access information now is completely different than those dial-up days. Well, here's a spot where the Garmin R10 absolutely wins out, because you'll get that data within a second or so of hitting the shot, whereas you might have to wait a couple of seconds in order to get the shot data, sometimes 2 or 3 seconds with this. It's something that in practice you can get used to one way or the other, but definitely there's much more instantaneous feedback with the Garmin R10, so if that's important to you, the Garmin R10 absolutely wins in that case. Now, what about putting? With the Skytrak, you are actually able to read putts with the device, whereas with the Garmin R10, there is no putting at all. Okay, so if you're playing a simulated round of golf, you actually have the chance to putt with this one, whereas with the Garmin R10, once you hit the green, it's going to give you a score and you're kind of stuck with what it determines. Now, what about missed shots? Both of these units are really good about getting most of the shots you hit. I will say that I think the Skytrak probably wins in this category as well. It just seemed to pick up more of my shots as long as I had proper alignment and I put the ball on that laser dot each and every time. I had good, clear lighting. Now, if you're in an area that has a lot of reflection or the lighting is not good, you may actually experience some problems with the Skytrak, but in my practice, I found it to be really good, to the point of it only maybe missed 1 out of 100 shots. With the Garmin, I missed quite a few more shots, some of that due to club waggle, some of that due to other factors. Still, it seemed to get 95 to 98% of the shots that I made with it, but every once in a while there was a shot missed with this. So all in all, they're very similar and they both do very good. There's no perfect unit out there. Both of them are gonna miss a couple shots from time to time. I think the Skytrak probably gets just the slighter edge there. Now, of course, a huge category is accuracy. I find these both to be very accurate. In fact, I did side-by-side comparisons with the Garmin R10 straight up against the Skytrak, hitting the same shot at the same time. And for the most part, the Garmin R10 was right on par with the Skytrak. Where I think the Skytrak may win out here is probably on spin. I found the spin numbers to be more accurate with the Skytrak, and that translated into more accurate carry distance numbers in an indoor setting. In an outdoor setting, I find the Garmin to be really spot on for the most part, at least with my moderate swing speed of 100 miles per hour with a driver. On an outdoor basis, I find the accuracy of the Garmin R10 to be really good. Whereas in a home environment, specifically an indoor environment, this is where I think the Skytrak really does shine, and I found the carry distances and the spin numbers to be a little bit more accurate. Now let's take a deeper dive on exactly what parameters these two devices measure, because that's different too. So the Skytrak directly measures these parameters: ball speed, launch angle, backspin, side spin, and side angle. Now the Skytrak uses a calculation to come up with these data points: carry distance, roll and total distance, club head speed, angle of descent, the distance that shot was offline, whether right or left, and then it builds a 3D flight path from those calculations, shows you peak height and all of that other data in order to give it a shot shape. Now here's the data that is not measured by the Skytrak. That's club path, face angle, face to path, dynamic loft, attack angle, swing plane, swing direction, spin loft, and spin axis. Now here are the radar metrics with the Garmin R10, and they don't specifically state whether these are directly measured or if they are calculated, but here is the information that the Garmin R10 will provide: club head speed, club face angle, club path angle, the angle of attack, ball speed, launch angle, launch direction, spin axis, spin rate, apex height, smash factor, carry distance, total distance, and deviation distance. As I mentioned before, some of those metrics are actually calculated. Now, I personally found the club face angle and the club path angle to be really good. However, some have complained that it's not always correct. And I did have a few shots throughout my extensive testing where that was the case. But by and large, I found this data to be really useful. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. This is also not a $10,000 plus device. For $600, I think it does a really good job. Obviously, some of those things are calculated, but I think Garmin's done a pretty good job of doing that. Again, the only caveat I found really was spin. That calculated spin number a lot of times seemed a little high to me. It seemed to always air high though, and that's why I think that it can actually be fixed with an update to the algorithm or the calculations, but that's just me taking a guess there. But all in all, I find it to be pretty good. Now, Garmin claims the accuracy of these metrics, the ones that it directly measures, as well as the ones it calculates. Here's the accuracy. Club head speed accuracy plus or minus 3 miles per hour. Ball speed accuracy plus or minus 1 mile per hour. Launch angle accuracy plus or minus 1 degree. Launch direction accuracy plus or minus 1 degree. And carry distance accuracy plus or minus 5 yards. In my testing outdoors, once again, I found it to be extremely accurate. I actually used a rangefinder to see where the ball landed and then also see what the device was telling me. And in that outdoor environment, I found this to be really good. On an indoor basis, I found those carry numbers to often err on the low side. And I would say sometimes even outside of that stated spec, but still really good. And when it comes to angle and shot shape, I found it to be super accurate, pretty much exactly what the Skytrak was telling me. So outdoors, again, a huge plus for the Garmin R10. Indoors, I still got to give the edge to the Skytrak there in terms of accuracy. Now let's talk about something out of the box that the R10 has, the Skytrak doesn't, and that is a simulator software. Home T Hero, which is available for $9.99 per month or $99.99 for the entire year, comes with 42,000 courses loaded into it. And that's a huge selling point to me. The fact that I can play a simulated round of golf at pretty much any golf course in the world right out of the box for a very small fee is really, really cool. With the Skytrak out of the box, you're really only going to get a driving range feature, and you will have to use some additional software add-ons in order to get that simulation experience. Now, the simulation experience probably a little bit more realistic with some of these apps anyways, but if you're going for ease of use, the Garmin R10 is absolutely going to win that side of the equation. The list of third-party softwares available is much more extensive for the Skytrak, including WGT, E6, and the Golf Club. With the Garmin R10, you do have direct connectivity into E6 as of me making this video. Hopefully they'll add some other software connectivity down the line, but E6 is really cool, and out of the box, I was given 5 golf clubs to play with, including Bandon Dunes, which makes it really cool. Now, we can't talk about comparing both of these devices without talking about price and value and what you get for the money. And this is where I'm going to come up with more of my subjective opinion on which I would buy if I was in your shoes. The Garmin R10, even with the drawback of it not being quite as accurate indoors, for the price in this category, when you're talking about a Doppler radar in that $500 or $600 range, I think this one has to be right at the top of the list. So if I have a budget of $500, $600, something in that range, I'm absolutely going to choose the Garmin. If I've got a budget that I can stretch a little bit, I want to use this primarily indoors, and I want the most accuracy that I can get in a $2,000-ish budget range, then I'm going to absolutely choose the Skytrak. The benefits being I don't need as much space to set this up. It's going to be a little bit more accurate indoors. I get putting with it. I get access to all of those different apps and third-party developers. In that case, I've got to go with the Skytrak if I can stretch my budget. But if I'm super budget conscious, I want something that I can literally throw in my golf bag, I can take to the range, I can set up back indoors, I can sort of move around with, travel with, something that is easier in terms of if I've got a friend that's going to come over and play left-handed and that sort of thing. I'm all day going to choose the Garmin at the $500 to $600 price point. It's just really best in class for what it does. These little small Doppler devices are really convenient. They give pretty good data, and It's incredible value when you think about the fact that Home T Hero gives you access to all of those courses and that simulator software for a really low monthly price. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this comparison. If you've got more questions I could not answer during this video, please do let me know. I've made a lot of videos about the Garmin R10, including this one right here, so I hope you'll check that one out. And if you're looking for a third option, you might want to check out this video on the Mevo Plus, another great unit in the $2,000 or so price range. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you back here very soon on another edition of Let's Play Through.